We've been talking about the relationship of the family, and probably the most critical thing, and Tex, you mentioned it earlier, and that was about forgiveness. And I think that's probably one of the greatest needs in all of our families is to be forgiven and to be able to forgive. And forgiveness is really at the center and at the very heart of Christianity. It's why Jesus came. That's why he died on the cross. And of course, on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And so at the very heart of what Christianity is all about is forgiveness. And so when we come to the family life, we find that forgiveness is critically important, and especially in developing a relationship with others. And the closest person, the person you love the most, often I found, I don't know, and don't misunderstand me on this, but the greatest hurts come from the people you love the most. And it's because you love them so much and you love so deeply that you feel the hurt so greatly. And so in any marriage, good marriages, as a matter of fact, the better the marriage is, probably the deeper the hurt feels. So it's not, when you say you have to forgive or be forgiven, it doesn't mean that you don't have a good marriage, but forgiveness has got to be right at the core and the heart of everything. That's my take on it. So let me just throw it out to you guys. And how important has forgiveness been in your relationship, and from your perspective, how important is forgiveness?
Well, I think it's like what you said, and in any marriage, any relationship, you need to have forgiveness. But in marriage, I think it's just vital. Without it, I don't think we would still be married. Because you go through so much in life, there's going to be ups and downs, and if you want to have intimacy and you want to keep going, you're going to have to learn to forgive, or you will drift apart and just kind of coexist, and that's not the point of marriage.
Kelly, let me ask you that as a follow-up on that. And you tell me if I'm wrong in this assumption, but a lot of times girls are presented growing up, their knight in shining armor is going to come along, and then you kind of have subconsciously, I would think, that idea, that, and then all of a sudden you see his flaws, and
right.
You see that he's not the knight in shining armor, he's just the regular guy. And so how do you deal with that as forgiveness, or is that forgiveness, or is that just acceptance?
Yeah, I think that's something. We watch TV and we see marriages, we kind of idealize what marriage is going to look like, and then when it comes down to it, it's hard work. It's getting up and having to face difficult decisions and being disappointed in people, and it is a challenge. But I think it's important to know that it's supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be this knight in shining armor, and that's not really even how God intended it. We are there to help each other grow and become more like Christ. And so I think if we change our perspective going into marriage, being thankful that God gave you this opportunity, this person to grow with, but realizing it's going to be hard work, and you don't feel like you have to bail because it's not the way Hollywood makes it out to be.
Yeah. So Dave, what about you?
I think just adding on that, you like you said, you come into marriage with these certain expectations. Those expectations aren't met, and so you automatically become a little bit more jaded, a little bit more cynical. And I think there's a great quote by one of America's greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln. He said, if you look at people expecting to find faults, you surely will find them there. And it's all about your perspective on if you're looking at that person because you've been wronged, you've been wronged, and something happens and it happens again. You start to look at that person, you hold on to that offense rather than releasing it. And if you look at in the biblical word for forgiveness in the Greek it's actually a combination of two words. It's to send away. It means when you really have truly forgiven, you're not holding on to it anymore. You've sent it away to the cross of Christ. He's forgiven that, you've forgiven that, and then it's gone. So it's, I think, a lot about perspective within forgiveness too, releasing and then having that perspective to see the good within the person rather than the bad.
Let me share the flip side of that too, is that, and I had a friend who was just a great man of prayer and taught on prayer and was really a blessing for me. But he said that when you're criticized or someone sees something in you, and he says if you would have the perspective of if they knew the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, it would be much worse than their criticism.
Yeah.
So, and that, which is a spirit of humility, of really realizing who you are. So, what keeps us, text, what's the greatest hindrance for forgiving, would you say?
Selfishness on my part. I think because sometimes I can be selfish and want my way, and if you're doing it another way, then maybe I start building up barriers and hindrances, and maybe you've hurt me and vice versa, and I have a choice to forgive or not to forgive. And if I hold it, then that's only hurting me. It's not just hurting you, but it's hurting me too. And that hurts my relationship with Jesus if I'm holding unforgiveness.
Yeah, in most situations when we hold it in, we don't ever hurt the other person.
Yeah.
It's really, we're just hurting ourselves, and it's what I find. And the only way in hurting another person in the relationship is that then there's a barrier. There's a wall that builds up in the relationship. So, what has been helpful to you guys on forgiving? I mean, forgiveness. I don't think it comes naturally. I might say it comes supernaturally, because. But what helps you to be able to forgive when you've been hurt?
I think a lot of times there's the issue behind the issue. And so there may be an explosion or anger or whatever that comes out, but that's not the root of the issue. The root of the issue is something deeper. And so you've got to get to the root of the issue. And a lot of times the best time to get to the root is not in the middle of a big blow up. It's whenever there's calm. And into really just whenever there's calm after you've gone away and been by yourself and prayed or whatever you need to do to calm down, is just to get back and honestly as a couple just come together with each other's best interest in heart and talk through what are the things that triggers this. What are the things that you find yourself becoming defensive on whenever something comes up? Get to the root of the issue, because many times there's an issue behind the issue that has to be forgiven. It's not just the outward manifestation of that.
And one thing, and I want to just kind of say something there. This really hadn't been our problem, but I know a lot of people that it is a problem, and that is some people have a problem just talking to each other. In other words, they explode and lose their tempers, and so just having that conversation when you get down to the deep things is hard because the hurt and pain is so deep. And one of the things that we have recommended for couples to do if they are in that situation is to go to a public place and talk about these things. Go out to eat, go into where in other words you'd be embarrassed to raise your voice and yell, so that you can kind of have a conversation, reasonable conversation about these things in a manner that is right, because sometimes when you talk about the issue behind the issue, it can be really hurtful, and so we need to kind of be in a position where we're not going to just yell and scream at each other. It's got to be listening, talking, and listening. Would that be a thing that y'all would say, being able to listen?
Yeah, and bottom line, go ahead.
Without judgment, just say, okay, I'm thinking in my mind, sure, and yet listen to what his heart's saying. Vice versa, if he's come to me and said, I spoke to you harshly, or I hurt you in what I said, and really listening, saying, okay, and then just saying, okay, Lord, give me the grace to forgive him, and vice versa.
Yeah, and this has been recent.
Last night.
Last night, that's true. And so you never get past this. It's something that's always there that you have to, do. And so forgiveness is critically important. And I would say probably if you're going to have a long-term growing relationship, you've got to learn to forgive and to be forgiven and to seek forgiveness and to humble yourself. And grace is applied to the humble heart. And it goes back to that spirit of humility that allows us to forgive and to be forgiven.